and show you how far back the paper trail goes.
When they had the choice of do we go public with this or do we sweep it under the rug, they chose the rug.
And with these chemicals now impacting 97% of Americans, according to the CDC, what you and your family need to know.
I am glad NewsNation is looking into this problem. All of us, the entire country, will deal with the fallout. Wow.
Make it right. Don't do this to anyone else.
And to talk more about the impact of forever chemicals on all of us and what you can do, we are joined by Rachel Frazin, now energy and environmental reporter at NewsNation's partner, thehill.com. She is also notably the author of an upcoming book called Poisoning the Well: How Forever Chemicals Contaminated America. Rachel, this is such an important topic. Thank you so much for making the time tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
You say that corporate greed got us here. Very quickly, tell us how.
Sure. So a lot of these companies, like you mentioned, 3M, DuPont, they had evidence for decades of the toxicity of these chemicals that they were using in their products. And still, they put these products out on the market so that you and I could buy them and have them in our homes. And for decades, they did nothing.
And meanwhile, the EPA did fine them eventually. But put that into perspective for us. Those fines, did it really amount to a slap on the wrist compared to the billions in profits that they had already made over decades at that point?
Yeah, absolutely. There were settlements, but these companies had made billions and billions of dollars already. And this was just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, and in this investigation special, which is now posted on NewsNation's YouTube, if people want to take a look, we do go through this paper trail of documents that do show for so many decades, these internal memos, internal documents showing what 3M, what DuPont knew and did not disclose to both agencies and the American public. You say that government agencies also played a role here. You say, quote, a slow walking and neglect along the way worsened this problem. How did the government fail here, and how are they still failing in regards to protecting Americans from this problem?
Absolutely. While the EPA had no real indication until the 80s and 90s, the FDA had a lot of early evidence that there was something wrong here, and they didn't really act on it, and they allowed these products to go out onto the market. Once the EPA did find out, they did take action in the 90s. Once they learned that this was so widespread, they did take action to get the polluters to curb their uses of some of the most notorious PFAS. However, in the years since, once those 2 PFAS out of thousands were curbed, the other thousands were allowed to remain in production, and many to this day still remain in production.
And let's get to what people at home can do, because 97% of us have this in our blood. As part of the special, I had my blood tested, and despite all of my best efforts to eat organic, to use the non-toxic products in my home, on my body, I have moderate levels of PFAS in my blood. What can people at home do to protect themselves and their families?
Absolutely. There is no surefire way to 100% get rid of your exposure, but you can take steps to mitigate it. Number one is looking out for products that are stain-resistant, waterproof, grease-resistant, stain-proof. Those words can be red flags that you need to look more into a product and what's in it, because it may contain forever chemicals. If you have forever chemicals in your drinking water, if you have the means, you can install filtration on your house. The EPA is working to regulate forever chemicals in our drinking waters, but that does not apply to people who are on private wells. So if you're on a private well, if you have the means, you should get that well tested.
And when it comes to sludging, spreading potentially toxic fertilizer on fields that is shot through with forever chemicals, 48. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.